Now, recently, New York Magazine published an interview with Hillary Clinton, who, of course, at no surprise, still blames everybody else for her loss in 2016. Now, the interview, to kind of show you what she was dealing with, who she was interviewing, and why she didn't get any tough questions, and why this is essentially nothing more than a fluff piece, this interview was conducted by the same person who, back in 2008, wrote about the Obama boys, right? Hey, Obama boys, stop pestering Hillary or something like that. So she was the one who came up with that Obama boys, and then what turned into the Bernie Bros narrative back in 2008. So that's where it all started. And of course, she was out there spreading the narrative of the Bernie Bro, the sexist Bernie Bro. So that's to show you the kind of atmosphere that she was interviewing in. You think she's going to get tough questions? No.
No.
So
no.
anyway.
I mean, it was nice. A couple weeks ago, Jake Tapper kind of took a little jab. Where he said, "Hey, Hillary Clinton is finally taking some accountability. Of course, she's blaming everybody else." That was like the summary of what he said. But other than that, it's just kind of more of the same with her and her political advocacy group. I forget what it's called, or Onward Together or something like that, which I think is her message to lobbyists. But yeah.
So now,
if I ever had let me say this, if I ever had the option of meeting Hillary Clinton, you know what? When I was 18, I might have told this story before, so I apologize if I'm repeating this. When I was 18 years old, my girlfriend at the time, her and her father did not have the best relationship, and he decided that he was going to just dump her off of his health care. And she called me up crying because she basically didn't know what she was going to do to afford what she needed as, a teenager. And ever since that day, I supported a nonprofit single-payer system where every single citizen in this country was covered, and supported a single. So something like this could not happen. And I would love to tell Hillary Clinton that story. And then I would say, look me in the eye and call me a sexist Bernie bro. Because I had a problem with you saying that universal health care would never happen. And I support a platform that includes universal health care. Something almost every other, pretty much every, industrialized nation in the world already has, but we don't because of donors. And because you changed your tune on it, and after the 90s, you changed your tune. Tell me I'm a sexist Bernie bro.
She probably
Look
would.
me in the eye. Look me in the eye, Hillary. And call me a sexist Bernie bro. Please. Because I don't think you know what it's like. I don't think you grew up in a situation where you've ever experienced somebody calling you on the phone crying because they can't afford health care. I don't think you've ever experienced that in your life, and you never will. But I have. So tell me why I'm just being a sexist Bernie bro. Look me in the eye and say it to my face.
You might want to spread that message to the person who wrote this, who did this interview as well, and who wrote the thing about the Obama boys, and that's Rebecca Traister as well. So, have her tell you that too, because I'm certain that she probably would.
All power to her.
Yeah. So anyway, Hillary Clinton did this interview, and as you might have already guessed, that she's going to, and she's said this before, hey, losing the election is not my fault. I did almost everything right. It was nothing more than sexism, Comey, and Russia that I lost. In the interview, she said, what I was doing was working. I would have won had I not been subjected to the unprecedented attacks by Comey and the Russians. But it wasn't working. What you're doing didn't work. I mean, the polling was proven to be off in swing states, and she didn't campaign in places like Michigan despite her own operatives in Michigan begging her campaign for resources. And again, same thing in Pennsylvania and Wisconsin. James Comey didn't cause you to not campaign in those places. Russia didn't stop you. Vladimir Putin didn't stop you from traveling to Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania and campaigning and putting on events and sending money to people to go and knock on doors in Michigan. They didn't do that. The Russians didn't do that. But instead of, taking responsibility for bad campaign decisions, she's going to dump on Bernie Sanders and dump on third-party voters, too. Now, Traister writes, this was an election that was in many ways about anger, and Trump and Sanders capitalized on that. Yes, Clinton nods, and I beat both of them. That's funny. I mean, okay, sure. That's after having every single advantage that she could conceivably have. Every major endorsement, all the superdelegates, major editorial boards of major media corporations that were filled with people who were pro-Clinton. Remember, Donna Brazile, before she was temporary head of the DNC, she worked for CNN as a contributor. And then, oh, look, she was caught giving messages to the Clinton campaign. She was caught sending messages thanks to WikiLeaks. And, for a while she denied it. No, I wasn't actually giving questions to the Clinton campaign. That's absurd. No, you're badgering women is what you're doing. When she went up against Jordan Sheridan, who actually asked her questions, unlike most of the corporate media, he actually asked that question and pressed her on it.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, it's kind of, I mean, it's basic scapegoating because, I don't think anybody could say that, there wasn't sexism that Hillary Clinton, of course she did. And she's been dealing with it for 30 plus years. I mean, I don't think anyone would ever say that that wasn't an issue.
Of course.
Of course it was an issue. Of course what Comey did was an issue.
They
and now
all
all of a sudden
small.
Comey's Democrats' friends. He wasn't their friends. Now he is again. Then he wasn't. Now he is. But of course that was an issue as well. But to point to exclusively that, to not recognize the gross flaws in her campaign, which, I still think if it wasn't, it may have been the worst Democratic campaign of my lifetime. It was definitely the one that I was cognizant of. I mean, was it worse than Dukakis? I can't say for sure because I was pretty much an infant when that was going on. But I mean, in my memory, it's definitely the worst campaign that I've ever seen since I've been cognizant of politics. She didn't even go to Wisconsin. Her campaigning in the swing states was terrible. She was relying on a 90s method. I mean, their social media was completely off. She had no momentum whatsoever. I was performing at a lot of colleges around election season, and I made this observation with several other people that were doing the same thing. There was support and excitement around Bernie Sanders and around Donald Trump for some students. Not many. It was 90% Bernie, about 10% Trump. However, it was 0% Hillary. I cannot say one college student that was excited about Hillary Clinton. She did not have any connection whatsoever with young people. None. Millennials were very skeptical of her, which, I mean, and that's probably only escalated because she blamed millennial feminists for her loss. That was another group she blamed. Millennial feminists she blamed for her loss. So there's a huge disconnect between that era, the Clinton era, which I hope is over. And I'm thinking it is, but, I mean, they're going to go hard into that good night. But, that era of neoliberalism, of, centrist, blank suit politics, unfortunately is still around, but it's not a winning strategy. It is a losing strategy, and it will continue to lose. And if you want to blame people on the left, have fun punching down and see how that works out for you. But it's not anyone on the left's fault.
Yeah, I'm gonna say something.
And the establishment Democrats that are keeping it going, I don't consider them part of the left. So
yeah, I'm gonna say something a little controversial. I don't think Hillary Clinton's a bad person. I just think that she's disconnected completely 100% and doesn't know what's going on with most of America. And she thinks she does. And that's the sad part about it. And that's, look, here's the thing, right? This person had all this support. And Bernie Sanders still won 46% of the electorate in the primary.
Mm-hmm.
So he had none of those advantages. She still won, and she ended up losing to a clown. So, and now she is more unpopular than said clown. It's not about her personally. She showed no personality during her election. She showed no humanity during that election. There's a human in there, but we didn't get to know her.
And I'm not trying to make a statement about her personally either.
No,
I don't know. I've never met the woman. I'm just saying, when you make blanketed statements like she makes, like, oh, it was just anybody that opposes my policies, it's because they're a sexist Bernie bro. Like, no. That's
and it's a lot of her surrogates that made that out that argument as well. And that's the problem.
It's a what? I'm sorry, I didn't catch all that.
There was a lot of the surrogates made that argument for her.
Right. And it's very lazy, and it's very incomplete. I mean, just for the record, some of the best feminists I know, females, are more opposed to Hillary Clinton than I am. I mean, some of the strongest feminists I know are grossly opposed to her, and many did not vote for her. So, to make it out like this is, oh, it's just sexism, it's just this, is like, no. Yeah, you dealt with sexism, and that sucks. It really does.
It does.
But to single-handedly blame that, and to make that accusation against everyone, especially those on the left that, did not like you as a candidate, that's grossly unfair. And, it shows a huge disconnect from the populace at large. I mean, Hillary Clinton is the same person that goes and says every issue is a woman's issue. Okay. Did you support the fight for 15? Because, a lot of the people that are on minimum wage are single working mothers. That's a large portion of the demographic that has to live on minimum wage and can't do it. So do you support the fight for 15? No, you didn't. Are you anti-fracking? Because, there's some town hall footage that was on MSNBC of women that are moms crying because their children were exposed to lead in their drinking water and stuff like that. So are you supporting environmental policies to make sure stuff like that doesn't happen? No, you're not. In fact, you're promoting fracking worldwide. Did you support Bernie Sanders' drug prescription bill? Do you support universal single-payer health care? So nobody has to have an experience like I did when they're 19 years old, where their girlfriend calls them crying because they just got dumped from their health insurance. You don't support that either. In fact, you say that it's something that'll never happen. Okay. How about the fact that Mother's Day started off largely because of war protests? It has to do with mothers protesting war because they didn't want their children to go off to war and never come home again. How's your record on war? Not so great, is it? So tell us how every issue is a women's issue and how you've been on the right side of them.
Yeah. Couple more things that I want to address in this. There's more. Now, she does like to bring up how she won by, the popular vote. 66 million people voted for her. But she said, quote, 66 million people voted for me, plus, the crazy third-party people, Clinton said in response to Traister bringing up some of the conservative hires in mainstream media, like the New York Times climate change skeptic Bret Stephens. So there's a couple of things in that. First, she brings up how she won the popular vote, which, yes, it's true, but I think a lot of those 66 million people weren't necessarily voting for her. They were voting against Donald Trump. And since she lost to Trump anyway, she's got an approval rating that is actually worse than his. So she's definitely out of touch. And that's unfortunately how people describe Democrats now, the Democratic Party, as being out of touch, despite Trump and the Republicans being absolutely 100% in favor of corporations and the extreme wealthy. Now, not only that, but the other thing in there that you might get a little mad is her is her referring to third party people who voted third party as crazy. I'm sure he might have an opinion on that.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's punching down. And I think it's a shame that articles like this are still being written, and that people are still pushing this. I mean, the election's over. November was, like like 8 months ago. Like, I mean, where are we at now? We're in May, so it's been like 6 months. End of May. So, I mean, were we still talking about Dukakis at this point in '88? Were we still talking about John Kerry at this point? No, we were trying to look forward. And, the reason we talk about the flaws with the Democrats is because if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it. When you talk about, okay, what went wrong? What's wrong with the messaging? What's wrong with the platform? How can we fix this? That's not sour grapes. That's trying to look forward so that you can win in the future. But as far as blaming everybody except for your campaign, that's just counterproductive. And articles like the ones that we're talking about now, they're very counterproductive. They're very divisive. They're gaslighting, because it wants to make you think that you're the crazy one, that there's something to all this. And it's very intellectually lazy. If you're going to, you're a man and you're a progressive, but you don't like Hillary, so it's got to be because she's a woman. Really? Really? That's all you got? That doesn't even deserve a response.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.